Hi everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. We welcome John this year. We welcome John Wilcox from Blackwater Distillery. Thank you for being there, John. I'll come back in a few seconds with you, just a few sentences in French, and I'll be back. Donc, comme d'habitude, tout le monde, bienvenue à ce Lunch and Learn. Techniquement, même chose que d'habitude. Si vous avez des questions, vous pouvez les mettre dans le chat. Je vais voir les questions, puis on va pouvoir les poser à John. L'objectif aujourd'hui, regarder un peu l'évolution de la distillerie. Si vous vous rappelez, on a déjà parlé avec Peter il y a de cela plusieurs mois pour présenter à ce moment-là l'importation qu'on faisait. On a d'autres produits aujourd'hui, des whiskies qu'eux ont travaillé directement. Donc, on va discuter de ça, voir comment la distillerie évolue aussi. John est le head distiller, donc c'est une chance qu'on a de pouvoir lui parler aujourd'hui. Encore une fois, si vous avez des questions dans le chat, puis je vais passer en anglais pour parler avec John. So, John, thank you very much for joining us here at Passion Whisky Québec. It's a pleasure to have you. As I mentioned a little bit in the introduction, we talked many months ago with Peter, one of the co-founder, but it's a real pleasure to have you on this call right now. So we'll go maybe first on your side with a quick introduction, who you are, what's your background, and what brings you there at Blackwater Distillery, and a bit with what is your role there also.
Do that. Bonjour, je m'appelle John, je suis le fromage grand de Blackwater.
Nice.
That's about the extent of the French that I know.
Good. Thank you for trying.
Speak Japanese. We can do this in Japanese if you like, but
no, Japanese.
En français is a bit of a challenge for me, but
no issue.
My name is John. I am the head distiller for Blackwater, and been with Blackwater overseeing the whiskey program since 2018. I am originally from the States, but am, as of this year, now a citizen of Ireland, which is a very exciting transition for a myriad of reasons.
Okay.
But it is good to be in Ireland making whiskey in the old country, in a part of Ireland that has some very old roots in whiskey manufacturing that kind of trailed off over the past 100 years, almost 200 years now. And it is very exciting to be part of a project that is focused on not just historic grain bills and heritage products, but also on pushing the envelope a little bit on what Irish whiskey is and what Irish whiskey can be. And finding that synergy in the middle between past and present. That's a very, very exciting endeavor that we're taking on. It's an honor to be here with Blackwater. I look forward to sharing with you guys.
Yeah, we'll talk about this a little bit later also, but specifically your role as the head distiller, you overlook basically everything that is related to the whiskey production. Are you also involved in the let's say the blending itself, or the tasting and everything at the end of the process? What's your role there?
If it's whiskey, it's in my domain. So it's blending or sensory evaluation, product design. It's all on my desk, and it has been a very welcome challenge to have so many different things moving at the same time. We have a considerable number of projects that have come and gone. We have a considerable number of projects that are still yet to come here in the next few years that keep me very busy. Very, very excited about what's happening towards the end of this year. I'll share a little bit about that here in a bit.
Okay, nice. So you mentioned it quickly at the beginning, but it cuts a little bit. So you're there with the distillery for how long?
Since 2018.
Okay. So the distillery started at in 2014, if I'm right. So you were
Right.
you were there pretty much since the beginning.
We started in Capaquin in 2014, and our production was focused on gin. We always had the intention of moving into whiskey, but as I'm sure you're all aware, that whiskey is a very expensive industry because gin doesn't have to pay rent. Whiskey has to pay rent. So on top of the production costs and the overhead, it's also paying rent. You have a time component that you have to budget for. So gin it was what we started with, and when the company began putting together plans to open the distillery, that's when I got a call to come out and do commission and to begin the project of figuring out what our whiskey program was going to look like.
Awesome.
And that was awesome. So yeah, I've been here on the whiskey end of things since the beginning, but no, I wasn't here at the very beginning of the company.
Good. So were you there at the beginning when it was like this? Have you seen this, or you arrived after it was changed to a?
So I managed to avoid the construction phase. That's the old Flynn's hardware store. Was quite a mess, and for a good couple of years after we commissioned the system and were in operation, we still had to sort through remnants from the building that it used to be. There's still some remnants of the old businesses that building housed in the little cottage that's attached in our operations yard.
Okay.
There's little relics everywhere from the past, and we even were able to save some of those relics and integrate them into the retrofit for the distillery.
Okay.
So there's a sense of antiquity that still kind of keeps the distillery firmly grounded within the village, so to speak, despite all of this contemporary equipment in there.
So that's right now what it looks like. It's your playground, as we can say. So can you just present a little bit there what's in there, and let me just move it a bit different way like this. So if you can, just explain what are the details and what make them specific, and how it helps or how it's a challenge for you to bring the taste you want to have. In the products.
Well, what's not pictured here is the brew house. Your stills are, I think, the least important component to making a whiskey. It's all about making beer. Whiskey starts in the dirt, right? So the farm is actually the most important to look at. We have a few farmers that we source our grains from around the country. We have a very simple, rudimentary brew house that's behind the stairs there. And that's where we do our conversion of grain into wort. The stills here are a twin pair of grappa stills from Siena, Italy. You could tell they're Italian by how the engineering is designed to be public facing. It's a really beautiful system. You've got the old world line arms. When you're talking about some challenges with the system, you can just look at that manifold in the front of those two condensers there. To do anything with the Parrot, as an example, requires complete disassembly of the manifold, which is such a nightmare. But otherwise, otherwise they're great stills. They are short and they're squat, and they produce heavy, oily spirits, which is, I think, a very good result for pot still, which is the predominant style of whiskey that we focus on, particularly heritage pot still. And these stills run a little slower than a conventional still would, which under, I guess, larger operational standards probably would be quite inefficient. But that slow and low combined with the short and squat create a really good dynamic, produce a type of spirit that becomes kind of the house flavor, the house presentation of our final product.
And I think, if I'm right, you do vodka in there as well, in the same stills.
No.
Okay.
This distillery here is only whiskey.
Okay.
We have a separate facility where we do all of our gin and vodka. We have a separate still for all of that. The white spirits are handled by our other distiller, Sylvia. She runs the white spirits production, and we have our packaging line there, as well as our one of our dry goods storage there as well. So the distillery here in Ballyduff is serving two purposes: one for production of whiskey, but also kind of as our centerpiece for a visitor center, where we're public facing. The Cavaquin facility isn't really open for visitors.
Okay.
So we invite them to come to see these stills here and to spend some time with us upstairs on the lovely couches we have, and to hang out with our distillery dogs and talk about all things whiskey and gin.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. I understand now. Awesome. And you talked a little bit about that the thinking is different from the distillery. You try to bring old whiskeys or old way to do whiskey together with a view in the future. And when I read about the distillery, and when I talked with Peter also a few months ago, I sense that it's not just doing whiskey for selling any kind of whiskey. There is like something behind that, trying to bring back the something different, something that is the real Irish whiskey in the market that is like forgotten right now with the big multinational companies. So how do you feel about all this? How do you try? What are your let's say your input in that with the job you have there? With, you mentioned the beer and then the distillation. How do you bring all this together? Let's say.
Well, part of it, I think, is to first look at the root of why we do what we do, and it really kind of centers on the line where history and tradition and creative impulse kind of meet, right? One wants something to be repeated and repeated well, and the other wants something to be new and interesting. We have some limitations, though, based off of the way that the rules have been written.
Yeah.
One of the things that we are very passionate about is addressing I'm trying to choose my words here carefully, to write an error in the technical file. The technical file, and subsequently the GI for pot still, was written at a time where there was a very limited number of pot still producers.
Yeah.
And the GI was written with language defining pot still based on the pot still that a limited number of producers were making. In other words, the pot still was defined to protect a product, not to protect a category, not to protect a tradition. The last known definition of pot still from the few surviving producers of pot still that were still in operation in 1953 was submitted to the Department of Agriculture with a formal definition of what pot still was to them in 1953. Mm-hmm. And it was 80% malt and barley, 15% oats, and 5% wheat. But the 2014 GI defines pot still as minimum 30% each of malt and barley and a maximum 5% other cereal grain. So what happened to the other 15% other cereal grain? If you look back across history, as far back as 1824, right? Across points in time that we've got documentation proving this point, that across the board, pot still had upwards of 30% other cereal grain. Now, I understand, and any accountant will understand, that yield is important, efficiency is important, output is important, right? All of these come down to your economies of scale. All of these come down to your final dollar. That's fine. And oats, for example, are going to give you a very poor yield. But across the board, from 1824 until 1953, we're looking at 15% oats on average. Yeah. Right? What happened? Right? This is an error. We need to change the rules. And part of our argument to address this problem is putting our money where our mouth is by making products that we will only call pot still, right? Because that's what they are. That's what they were. And that's the foundation of what they should be as we move forward. There is a lot of effort being done, not just from ourselves, but several other distilleries. There's a lot of conversations being had among different organizations. There's progress being made in getting that changed. And we're very proud to be part of that conversation. It's a very exciting thing to be a small cog in the wheel of changing something as big as this for the industry.
Yeah,
that's something that's going to be important to define then future pot stills and open the door for, I hate the word innovation because there's nothing innovative about what any of us in the industry are doing at the moment.
Yeah.
Anybody in the marketing machine at any larger corporation will probably like have a conniption fit when they hear that or hear me say that. But there's nothing innovative about anything we're doing in the industry right now. But I'm going to use the word innovation, right? Because it's a word we all understand. It opens the door for the development of new and interesting things, right? Yeah. And it keeps us relevant as we fight off continued pigeonholed regulations, shaving, or putting out proposals to shave out the use of this cask or this grain, and we can't do it this way or we can't do it that way, like our good friends in Scotland have done to themselves and continue to do to themselves. We have to make sure that we don't find ourselves in that trap.
Yeah.
that we continue to keep ourselves relevant as an industry that can continue to invent itself and present new and interesting things. So we avoid homogeny in our industry.
That's pretty interesting. And all of this discussion and thinking and philosophy is what support the products that you bring on the market. And lately you have a few different whiskeys out there, and we are going to have 4 of them in a group order we are going to do. So I'm just going to have them right there. So this is like 3 of the products there. And can you explain a little bit what are different, how they are different, let's say, from what other products that are in the market? So the first one here is the double oat. In fact, the OT Mech Oat Face.
OT Mech Oat Face, yeah, that's it's a very memeable name, and it's very exciting to see that name in print. It brings me a lot of joy. This is a contemporary pot still that's on the edge of what would be legal with the proposed change to the GI. So this is a future-facing pot still rooted very firmly in the heritage of pot still production, high oat concentration. The oats are also turfed and malted, which is a bit unusual. That's a whole lot of effort for a grain that's not going to give you a whole lot of yield. But I have found that it adds a dimension of flavor that is really lovely. Aged in maple cognac casks, so there's a little bit of that Canadian maple syrup that I'm sure all of you are familiar with. That flavor is in there. It gives it a sweetness to balance out with the smoky savoriness. So there's a sweet and savory component to this whiskey. Okay. And it's bottled at a fairly high percentage, roughly around, let's see, what is OD is, I think 47%, somewhere around there. It's been very popular in the German market. It's been very popular with our German visitors.
Okay.
So if you're a fan of or if your palate is very German, apparently this is very attractive to our German friends, which has been a big surprise.
So I'm really looking to taste like the difference, and everything you mentioned is something that we're not used to have in a whiskey. So that's really bringing some question mark for me, and I'm really looking forward to taste it. As the second one is more like old mash bill, so historic mash bill, Flashmore 1824. So
this is the other end of the spectrum in the pot still space. This is a recipe from 1824. So this is a 200-year-old recipe in the pot still category. In 1825, and the reason why we call it Flashmore, in 1825, a distillery, the first and only distillery that we know of in County Waterford, opened in 1825, and they produced pot still. They weren't open for long. This is kind of bang smack in the middle of a pretty heavy-handed temperance movement. They closed in 1829. I can't remember the exact date, but there were no other distilleries in County Waterford until ourselves in 2014. So the Clashmore is named after the village in which the distillery in Clashmore was located. And the only remnant of that distillery that remains is the smoke tower from their mill. It's still standing, but it probably won't be for the next 10 years. It's starting to lean, and without some attention here soon to it, it's going to crumble, which is a real big shame. This is also an unusual whiskey in the fact that we are using this as a form to demonstrate our wood policy.
Okay.
At this time in 1824, you're not seeing distilleries in Ireland do blends or finishes, cask finish. They weren't doing bourbon cask aging, with a sherry note, whatever. This was a time where we had a large number of whiskey bonders in Ireland who were themselves importers or brewers. They made their beer, they made their cider, they imported their wine and sherry and port. Everything was shipped in cask.
Yeah.
And it only made sense to put something in the cask once the cask was empty.
Yeah.
So a lot, if not all, of Irish whiskey was aged exclusively in something, right? So this is aged in sherry. It is a big flavor bomb. It is heavy and viscous, very oaty, very rich. Something I'd recommend for after dinner. It is part of our overarching thesis on how we handle the liquid when it goes to oak. Oftentimes we will put our whiskeys in what is available to us at the time. And a lot of it is hurry up and see what happens with the whiskey after that. And so far, I've been pretty pleased with the profiles that come out of it. It's one of the reasons also why we double distill our product. We need a heavier spirit to stand up to some of these heavier casks. And in the case of 1824, it's a perfect marriage between a big oat monster and sherry. It's a delight. It's my favorite whiskey in the lineup so far.
Yeah, and you sell it right. You sell it the right way. I'm looking forward to taste this one as well. And then the third one is this turf smoke.
Yes.
Peat. What is it?
So this is Pete the Magic Dragon Part 2, Return of the Dragon. This is the second edition of Pete the Magic Dragon series, single malt with a very high percentage of turf, which is where the kind of the name comes from. It's a cheeky reference to peat, but here in Ireland we call it turf. It's a different terroir. It has a very different aroma and flavor than some of the peaty whiskeys you'll find from our neighbors in Scotland. This one is aged in apple brandy casks. It's the first whiskey with an age statement on it, and this is cask strength at 59%. So it is a very big, fiery, smoky, burning the orchards, burninating the peasants kind of whiskey. It's very unapologetic, very much so boldly in your face, goes really well with pork, and was a category winner for single cask, single malt this year at World Whiskey Awards, which we're also very proud of.
That is awesome. Again, something that I'm looking forward to taste as a big amateur of big lover of peat and smoke. So we were looking forward. I do have a few questions in there. One, you mentioned that it's double distilled. So you double distill all your whiskey. It's not triple the distill.
No, it's only double distilled. That was a conscious decision to do double distillation, just as it's a conscious decision for us to omit the E from the spelling of whiskey.
Yeah.
And the reason for both of these things is going to be a lot less romantic than you probably would like it to be. Is that in the technical file? We're going to go back to the technical file again. We're going to go back to the rules. Irish whiskey has a marketing machine problem, not in the sense that the marketing machine has done damage to Irish whiskey. It's just pigeonholed us into into something that consumers expect.
Mm-hmm.
Irish whiskey, is always depicted on the hills of Moher with the salmon of knowledge rising overhead, and Mother Mary herself bringing you a golden dram of something, fiddly-dee. It's triple distilled and it's spelled with an E because Scotland, has it only with Y, and that's what we do. Ta 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 ta. That's not how that works, right? The technical file is what guides us, and we do firmly believe in use it or lose it. It can be spelled either way, E or no E, and likewise, it can be distilled twice or 3 times, according to the technical file. And we cannot allow ourselves to be pigeonholed by a marketing machine into doing things a certain way, because eventually that will then become the new rule.
Yeah.
And suddenly we can do less in the industry than we were able to do before.
Yeah.
If nothing else, it's good to have it just so there are examples of it. It was Paddy's in 1960, 1963, 1964, early 1960s, I think, was the last surviving distillery to adopt the E as the spelling for whiskey. This is as IDL was forming, as Irish Distillers was forming, the big merger between Paddy's Powers and my brain just turned off. Paddy's Powers and Jameson. Those guys. We all know those guys. Jameson. Wow. Paddy's was the last one to change their name, and there's plenty of examples of our good friends with Powers spelling it without an E. Jameson has some examples of the same.
Yeah.
In fact, the spelling of whiskey with an E, if memory serves, and Peter's more the historian than myself, if memory serves, it really picked up a lot of traction in the North, which is interesting because that is a location where there were a good number of Scottish settlers. So there's a very interesting dynamic, a lot of nuance in the conversation around how whiskey should be spelled when it comes to our two countries.
Yeah, that's right.
But I don't know if there's a rule for that in Canada. I know in the States it doesn't matter the spelling. Do ye have a rule for the spelling of whiskey?
Yeah, it's usually with just Y, but I don't remember if it's in the rule, honestly. In US, yes, most of the time it's with the E, but there are some that remove it as well. Yeah, exactly. So another question there. So talking about the products, and we're going to just quickly look at the others at the time fly. So question is, most of your bottling are not 40%, am I right? It's usually 46, 47, 8. And everything is on-chill filter and no color, no additional
colors. No. So if you were to take back to that picture of the 3 whiskeys, the trilogy there,
yeah,
you can see a very dramatic difference in color between all of those products. Those are all what they come out as, right? That's all cask oriented. And each batch may have variance in color. And that's totally okay, right? You don't have to have a whiskey that looks like bourbon. And like certainly the 1824, it looks a bit darker than your standard bourbon.
Yeah.
A bit more red even, just from the way the sherry interfaced with the liquid.
Yeah.
Or the apple brandy has a bit more of a gold color. The eau de Gold face is a bit more straw.
Yeah.
We have some whiskeys that are coming out that are tan. We have some whiskeys that are coming out that are really, really pale. We are not interested in doctoring the whiskey at all, ever.
Yeah.
Fine.
Now, that's what we like as a whiskey lover, is to be as close as possible as the real thing, not through. I'm from marketing, but I mean, from my whiskey point of view, I don't want to have like the filter of marketing on top of my whiskey.
Yeah, marketing is a big struggle, right? I talk a lot about the marketing machine. It has done a lot for the industry as a whole, not just in Ireland, but globally, right? We all benefit to some degree, with the machine, but we as a company believe very much so in transparency. We put all the recipes on the back of the bottle. If you want to make it yourself, go on ahead. We're not really all that worried about trade secrets, because again, there's nothing innovative about what we're doing here, right? Like, these are interesting whiskeys, and you want to make it go on. Like, here's how it works. Here's what's going. You want to come hang out with us and make it with us? We'll do it. We'll do that too. Like, it's you'll never make it quite like us, and we'll never make it quite like you. And on the final note on colors added to your whiskey, on a personal note, I have no issues with companies that do that. The only issue I have with it is that they should put it on the label.
Yeah.
And just own the fact that they had to add color to it.
Yeah.
That's fine. Truth in labeling is very important. If you can't be honest about what's in the bottle, I really have no time for you,
Yeah, and there are a lot that the majority on the market has no details or just limited details about what's in the bottle. And so again, as whiskey lovers for the group Passion Whisky Québec, and the people that really love whiskey, we really like to have details and know as much as possible about a whiskey. So for this one, then, that is a blend. That is something that is also not very popular, I would say, in the market. It's more like everything that is pot still or single malt, or it's the vibe is good around these products. And blend sometimes is more seen as something with lower quality, but you bring that bottle and you bring that product in a totally different way. You say, hey, this is a good product, and we bring together good products together to make that final product a good product as well. So
there are a few companies in Ireland that are elevating the category, and it's very exciting to see the category get a bit more explored as a premium offering, because this certainly wasn't a cheap product to produce, because it contains a percentage of pot still and single malt that is relatively high when you're comparing it to your normal blend, which is mostly grain, and then it's flavored with a little bit of something else.
Yeah,
that's true for a lot of blended whiskeys. But it's got can't remember the numbers. What is it? 33% each of the malt and the pot still, and it also carries with it a little bit of that delicious stout in the background, because we aged it in stout casks. All of the whiskeys in there, of course, are found in the technical file. So it's all 3 technical file whiskeys. It contains all the grain mentioned in the technical file: barley, oat, wheat, rye, and corn. It's got the Irish stout, of course, the Irish stout component. Everything that we do in the distillery uses grain grown, malted, turfed, brewed, distilled, and aged in Ireland. So this is all Irish all the time, the full Irish. This is what I call a breakfast whiskey. It is probably the lightest of our offerings. I would say it's a really good way to enter into the family of whiskeys we produce, because it's, I think, the most approachable if you are familiar with blended whiskeys. If you haven't really taken a deep dive into pot still, this has those pot still characteristics but not all up in your face. It's kind of sweet and chocolatey, inoffensive, and this can't be in print just yet. It's an embargo on it, but this just won gold at IWSC, 96 points today. So thrilled to announce that about this whiskey. It's getting very good traction, and is now our house blend, and we will be scaling up the blend of full Irish here in the coming year or two. I have a few ideas of full Irish part 2, extra vashers or something. I don't know what I'll call it yet, but black pudding, the full Irish black pudding edition.
Okay.
Working title.
You plan to have a different version every batch, so it's not something that will be the same every year.
Oh no, it'll be a separate product. Full Irish is one of our very few whiskeys that will be as consistent as we can make it. I mean, obviously we're blending whiskeys together. Okay. One component of the whiskey is our grain. That grain is not made in-house. That grain is merchant. So I don't have a column. I can't make grain whiskey. We don't have the tools.
Yeah.
So in true Irish Bonder fashion, we do source the grain, and that is blended in with our own pot still and our own single malt. And the beer might change depending on the companies that are available to do the stouting of the cask. That's a bit tricky. And that's a space that I'm a little concerned about. So scaling over the next couple of years should be fine. But when we reach, year 5 or year 8 of the full Irish, I just want to make sure that we don't pull a Jameson and have to do some shenanigans with the brewery and buy a brewery or something. As much fun as that would be, I think that's probably not the right route to go. I think lessons were learned there. So we'll take it from there when we reach that hurdle. But for now, we have some enthusiastic breweries we're working with to provide our beer casks, which are already yielding some interesting results on future products. We've got a saison cask with a really interesting smoky whiskey. And I'm toying around now with sour beer casks for some of the whiskeys. I don't know how those are going to go. It's either going to be the most amazing thing in the world or a beautiful disaster. But there's no way of knowing unless you do it, and that's kind of who and what we are. So we're going to do it, and we're going to find out. I'll let you know in a couple of years.
That's awesome. And just to finish on a thing that you're, I understand you're not involved in, but that's part of the group order we're going to do. There is that vodka here that is there. There is a regular vodka, and then there's this also vanilla vodka. It's at the first sight, it's kind of strange for Irish distillery, with looking at the roots and everything, to do a vodka. It not seems to be connected. How the company starts to do vodka?
I mean, there's an argument too, for the distilleries in Ireland to make rum, but those who do, do it very well. And the vodka is no exception. We're producing vodka, or originally producing vodka for the local bars here in Ireland. Because I'm not sure if you're familiar with like espresso martinis or porn star martinis, but they're still all the rage in some of these cocktail bars and some clubs. And so the vanilla vodka was actually originally designed to fill in that gap of being an Irish product that can be used to make these cocktails, and it really makes for a very lovely espresso martini. It's great in a porn star martini. A really great vodka for a day out or an evening out. It's all natural, vapor infused.
Yeah, that's one thing that is also good for what I read is that it's all natural. It's no flavor added or no anything else added there. It's same minding than the rest of your products. So really looking forward as well to see what's in there and taste that for sure. Awesome. Great. So we are already at 45 minutes.
That's what happens. That's usually what happens.
Yeah, exactly. And we can talk again. We can still talk for probably 30 minutes about all of this, but we'll have to stop. So thank you very much. It's again very, very appreciated, everything you share with us. Thank you for your time. We are really looking forward to taste all these products after what you've told us. I'm waiting even more anxiously to taste them. So thank you very much. And at some point, maybe in the future, we may come back and have a quick tasting of the products with you. It would be awesome. And if you ever come in Quebec province, there are some clubs that would be really happy to have you here and make some tastings as well. So it's an invite for you to come here then.
Well, we'll make that happen once we got stuff on the ground. Then it makes sense to go out there. I mean, I'm overdue for helping a poutine, and I love poutine. It's delicious. I'm also a big fan of the brewery. It's been a while, but they make La Fin de Mont. They're in Quebec, I think, aren't they?
Which one?
Is it La Fin de Mont? The end of the world.
Yes, La Fin de Mont. Yes.
Yeah. It's delicious. I haven't had it in a long time, but they're kind of like a pseudo Trappist style brewery. It's been many years since I've been to Quebec. It would be nice to go back out there.
Let us know, and we'll try to organize tastings when you visit us for sure. So again, thank you very much. It's been an honor to have you with us today, and looking forward to see you in the future, maybe in Quebec.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
Merci. À la prochaine.
Thank you very much.